Hmm. Hey everyone, welcome to the call. Super excited to be here with you on another week of Law of Success. I'm Lola Witherspoon, your hostess with the mostest. So we'll be kicking off the call shortly. I do not own the rights to the music that I'm getting ready to play, okay? Hope everyone had a great week. Book notes. You're actually writing on this page. We're about 2 minutes until we officially kick off the call. I do not own the rights to this music either. One minute and counting until we kick off the call officially. That wonderful picture you see to the right hand side, that is my inspiration. It's my beautiful grandmother, the love of my life. She is super duper. How was it kind of unhurt, you know? Hi, Mac. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, welcome to the call. So we're gonna kick off. If other people jump on, cool. Did you have a chance to actually do your reading?
Yeah, I just finished up.
Okay.
In a second, I'm just trying to bring it up on my. I had it on my tablet, trying to bring it up on my computer screen. Here we go.
Righty ho.
So interesting. Yeah.
So did you
Very
enjoy
interesting. Reading?
Did you enjoy your reading?
Did I enjoy the reading? Yes, I enjoyed the reading, especially the beginning part of it. When they were talking about how different vibrations, like how things vibrate differently, and then you can get different results.
Okay.
You know, and then how like he believes like vibration is a sign of communications. When like a public speaker is talking to an audience, the vibrations he gives off can give like people can pick up in that connection. One thing that did stand out is that he said that sometimes when you are educated on the matter that he's talking about, you would know what he's going to say. But when you're hearing a speaker talk about something that you have absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but you can still predict what his next words or next thoughts would be, that has to be with chemistry of the brains. So that's really stuck out to me, and all the electrons and atoms and the vibrations and how everything moving at different speeds. You know, I'm a science buff, so that really was like going over that stuff again was like really interesting.
It is. I mean, I think this chapter definitely lays the framework for everything. And for me, my favorite parts this week so far were just kind of understanding like power, organized power, like how you can have intelligence, but unless the intelligence is organized. And I'm hoping tonight from you guys to get more clarity, because I feel like I understand the concept, but I don't feel like I fully understand the concept. So I'm hoping that as we go through this together, you guys might be able to give me a little clarity on your perspective of what organized power looks like and maybe some ways of implementing it. And so I want to kind of jump in. Miss Ursula, welcome to the call, ma'am. How are you?
Doing great, Miss Witherspoon. Thank you so much for asking.
And my beautiful, wonderful darling, did you have an opportunity to do any of your reading?
I did. Remember, I told you I was still working on. Have a good one, LP. I was working on the getting caught up. I'm not quite caught up, but I did get to the section of the electrons. What's right after the neutrons, electrons? That stuff blew my mind. I was like, I don't even know if I can continue this. I was like, but it was crazy though, because after I finished reading that section, like right below that, it kind of encouraged you that that the information is not going to be as mind-blowing as you think it is. So I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that it's going to get better and easier. But it's crazy though, because just I went through all the different laws that we're going to learn about, and I'm excited because I realized, since I did start reading, that it's basically it has to do with personal development, just making you a better person at the end of the day.
I mean, the laws are really just designed to give you, I think sometimes it's kind of like what he talked about, organized thought. Sometimes we're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it just takes the laws and puts them into tangible bite-sized chunks so that you can actually give a name to the information that you're learning And then you can keep working and compounding, like, oh, I still need to work on cooperation. I still need to work on the habit of savings. But now you actually can give them names and titles as opposed to them just being general.
Absolutely. So I'm extremely excited about this because I was like, I've been slacking and I haven't been doing my reading, but my goal is to make sure, because I'm a slow reader too. And, you know, my comprehension, sometimes I have to read things more than once to really be able to absorb it and understand it. So with that being said, I need to make sure that I'm taking the time to really go through the information and make sure I understand it so I can really give some input and get what I'm getting out of it when we meet on these calls.
I mean, for me, the reading took, I mean, I know some people, Michael is a really fast reader.
Right.
Appears that Mac is also a fast reader. I'm an intermediate reader. I'm not a super fast reader. It took me about 2 hours to do the reading in totality. So I would say that, you know, maybe if you just did, you know, 5 pages a day or 30 minutes, whatever works best for you. Or if you like, I like just doing an hour chunk at a time, me personally. And I usually listen to like music when I do it. So that really helps me to kind of get through it so I don't get distracted, because I get distracted very easily. So that's kind of some of the ways that I've been able to sit down. And plus, I don't want to let you guys down by not fulfilling my part of our agreement by doing this talk. So I can't get on here and I've not read my information. It's unfair to you guys to ask you to be here and then for me not to do what I should, you know? So that's kind of what keeps me accountable, honestly. And so, Mr. Rirola, sir, we haven't had opportunity to speak to you yet. Did you have a chance to do your reading?
I did not read it all, but I will catch up definitely.
Okay. Well, just FYI, you guys, we're going to be closing out the first chapter by next Sunday. So just so you know, we'll be done with chapter 1. And so I just want to kind of jump into kind of what we went over. I know some of you guys have to catch up, and that's completely fine. But I'm just going to go through a couple things that really hit home for me. So really, I mean, chapter 1 is all about the mastermind, which goes into the blending and the coordinating of 2 or more minds in the spirit of perfect harmony. And you will catch the full significance of the word harmony as you go through this. He talks about the military. It goes through pretty much the breakdown of that's how they get people to work together is by breaking down the mind. There are positive ways to do that, and there are very negative ways to do that, like fear, but they all seem to work. So not that we're recommending that. And then also it says that no group of minds can be blended into a mastermind if one of the minds or individuals possesses an extremely negative mind. So, I mean, that's really what harmony is about. So, I mean, the goal here is that all of us obviously become harmonious. There is something in this book that I kind of wanted to recommend to you guys, and we'll talk about it. But any able leader who understands the principle of the mind chemistry may temporarily blend minds of individuals into a mass mind. And pretty much once that leader leaves, though, the mind disintegrates. Does anyone have any comments in anywhere? If there's any point you want to stop and you want to interlude to say something that you read in that section or in that area, or you have a question, stop me, please. Just say, hey, and I'll be like, what's up? Okay. For the purpose of the individual minds mastermind, we'll have a few days to simulate the minds of others. Okay, so I had a question for you guys. How do you revitalize your minds? So he talks about great leaders understand the necessity of this recharging process. Pretty much he's talking about the brain has to be revitalized and recharged in order to get stimulation, in order to get back to where it was, because our brains can become depleted, and the mastermind allows us to actually be able to recharge our mind. But there are alternative ways now that we've moved forward to do that. So what are some of the ways that you guys revitalize your mind? And Mr. MacArthur, I'll start with you, go to Michael, and then Ms. Ursula. Is that fair? And then we'll just keep the rotation moving, Michael, Ursula, Mac, and then that way, you know.
Okay. Yeah. You call me Mac, by the way.
Sorry.
That's fine. I would say like the best way to reset my brain is probably, sleep. It's one way of doing it. Another thing is to like when you're reading or you just do something stressful that's mentally, the best thing to do is put down what you're doing and just take take some deep breath and just clear your mind a little bit and, take 5 minutes and get back to it.
Okay.
Like I know when I have a stressful project at work, like sometimes I have to get up and just walk away from it for a little bit, then come back to it. even though sometimes like when I get involved in something, I want to stay with it and don't want to walk away until it's finished. But there's been plenty of times that I get stuck on something. I'm stubborn. I sit there and then I walk away, go to lunch or take a walk, come back, and then it just stands out. I missed this one thing, and it's right there.
Mystery Rolex.
Well, I agree with what he's saying, as well as I think sometimes when you're so focused, if you can change your objective or change your task. So I know we all have goals, dreams, aspirations, businesses we want to start, and goals we want to hit. But we also have minor level goals. So I know when I'm focusing on one, if I can go to the other, it helps take my mind off that. Maybe I'll get some new ideas from it. And then I can go back to that with a fresh mind. And then I also love watching TV. So TV kind of gives me a break just to immerse myself in fantasy land for a little bit and then come back to the actual problem at hand.
Miss Ursula.
I would have to agree with Mac and say sleep. Up to sleep.
Oh, really? Sleep.
Yes. And then the other thing would be listening to music. I love to listen to gospel music, and so that's a way that I kind of, get a chance to relieve some stress or, spend some time with God and worship Him. So those are the two things that I enjoy doing most.
So I would say for me to revitalize my mind, there's a couple of things. I really like to dance. So I can dance for a long time. And when I dance, it helps really revitalize my mind. The other thing that really helps me, which is kind of weird, is reading. I found that if I don't read new information or I'm not learning new stuff, I get sad very easily. I feel like my brain gets very drained. But when I read new stuff, I get excited about the new stuff that I'm learning. And I find that really like revamps my brain for me. And those are probably my top two. I have a hard time sleeping. I don't really like to sleep that much. But I do enjoy music and dancing. And I definitely like to learn new things. For me, that's a huge, like, I don't know, this just like the neurons in my brain seem like they start bouncing off each other and then I get all electrified inside and it's like super exciting for me. So those are for me, some of my wins. And then,
Oh, and I love sleep too. I'm with them.
oh, so 3 sleepers. Got it. And he says there's a growing tendency on the part of the best informed physician and other health practitioners, the theory that all disease starts in the brain, that when someone's brain is depleted, it's pretty much room for disease to step in. So I was going to ask you guys, there's a really good book called The Science of the Mind by Ernest Holmes. And he says that disease is just dis-ease of mind, that when people have mental complications, it leads to physical diseases in the body. And I'm curious, do you guys believe that that's a true correlation? Or do you guys feel that that's not true? I'm just curious on your take. Michael, I'll start with you. How do you feel about disease and the dis-ease of mind?
Well, based on that, I know Ernest Holmes, he does really well as well. But dis-ease sounds like it's correct. And the reason I say that is even through doing personal training, or that's what one of my goals are, you learn that if you're training someone, just look at it this way. I'll give you, for instance, 90% of diseases, hypertension, heart attack, all that stuff comes from belly fat. Belly fat could come from stress. Stress causes belly fat, which causes disease. So I 100% agree with the point that it can cause disease if your mind is not right. That's why if you look at successful people, I highly doubt they get as much of this stuff as most people do. But that's because their mind's always right. They're rejuvenating their brain. They're doing things to grow, where when you're not growing, you're dying pretty much. So.
Miss Ursula?
I agree with 100% of what Michael said.
You have anything to add?
No.
Okay, Mr. MacArthur, sir. What do you think about disease starting in the brain first? Back.
I think everything starts with the brain. Tell you the truth, as long as it's not environmental, things start with the brain. Like you were saying before, stress. You could be healthy, totally healthy, but you have a really stressful situation, your blood pressure spikes. I even experienced that myself. Like I had like um anxiety over something, and then you can just literally see your blood pressure spike to levels that you've never seen it before. And that can be dangerous. As somebody who is maybe in their 50s or 60s have a blood pressure that spikes, they can get blood clot, or they can have a stroke. So mental can cause stress, and stress can cause, heart attacks or stroke. So I believe everything starts with your mind. And also thinking about it, there was a movie called Wall Street in the 80s with Charlie Sheen. Like they're like traders, and then during the day they're checking their blood pressure randomly to make sure that they're not stroking out. So when I read that part, that made me think of that movie. And another movie it made me think of is that movie called Patch Adams, Robin Williams. It's like he figured that most people can get better by laughing. So laughter can relieve stress, and then less stress means normal blood pressure. So those are the two movies that came into mind. So yeah, I do believe that if you're not mentally healthy, it's going to lead to other diseases.
Well, I would definitely have to say I agree. I think that every negative effect of everything that's ever happened in my life, me personally, has started in the brain. Sometimes you literally can take yourself into stress through just a series of negative thoughts. And so I definitely think that for sure the brain health, he called it a mind body connection. If your mind body connection is off, then you're going to have dissidence because your body and your mind are not working together. And if you have any disruptions in your system, obviously that's going to create a problem on a cellular level. I think that leads to cancer for people when they have a poor mind body connection. They are maybe working themselves and not really taking the time to care or eat properly. So I definitely think that's huge. And then he talks about mind chemistry and the economic power. So pretty much power is the force with which humans achieve success in any undertaking. Power is unlimited quantities may be enjoyed by a group of people who possess the wisdom with which to submerge their own personalities and their own immediate individual interests through the blending of their minds and spirits in perfect harmony. Observe profitability and frequency with which the word harmony appears throughout this chapter. Um, I want to talk to you guys about this because I feel like for me, this has always been an issue as far as being willing to blend my personality and my own immediate interest with the group. So, do you guys think that it's possible, or have you had any instances where you've been able to successfully blend harmoniously with a group of people to create a result? And if so, what was that? Ursula, I'm going to start with you. Hi, Ursula.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My apologies. I forgot I silenced my phone. I muted my phone. I was just saying that in my field of work, working with teachers and supervisors, I've always had to work cooperatively or in groups and, come up with ideas and lesson plans and all kind of strategies on how to implement things. So repeat the question again, Lola, please.
So it's pretty much, have you ever been able, so one of the issues, like I say, that I have is sometimes it's hard for me to submit or to submerge my own personal, immediate, individual interests. Like, I want to get this accomplished, and I may not be interested in, let's say, what you want to do, but in order to reach the common goal, I have to blend harmoniously. Not like some people always want to be the leader, right? And it's
Right.
hard to follow when
Right.
a group is in a setting. Have you ever had an experience where you had to blend harmoniously, and what allowed you to be successful in doing that?
Yeah, I'm pretty easygoing. I just kind of go with the flow. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not I don't like to be the type of person. It's just not my personality to be the rebellious one or the one who wants to do something different. So every now and then I do, but for the most part, I'm pretty easygoing and I kind of just go with the flow. And so in my relationships with people at work,
Okay, I can hear you now. With your relationships with people at work. Can you hear me?
I think you went out.
Okay. Mac, then I'm gonna call you up.
the issues. That's possible, my dart. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, am I going in and out?
You did for a second,
Mhm.
but now you're clear.
Okay, because people are calling me, and so
Oh,
I'm not answering the phone
you're
call.
popular.
Yeah, so yeah, right. But I was gonna say, with the exception of my daughter, sometimes we can be out of harmony quite often. But outside of her, for the most part, I get along pretty well with everybody. So I feel like that's a gift that I have.
Mac?
I don't really have any work related stuff because most of the time we talk over Skype. So, or Slack. So it's
But
like do
have
this, that.
have to do through Slack, or no, you just are talking pretty much?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Have projects that you guys do through Skype and
No, our preferable communication, because I work with people in different offices, is Slack. So if I'm working on something or I need to get something done, I just usually like, ping somebody directly or talk to the group chat. But you don't really, you don't really get those vibrations with the mind over text. In a meeting, yes. I mean, there's been meetings where, gone well, but nothing that really points out. But I have one real life example. I'm going to use it because it's a example that I think fits it. But when I play Call of Duty with my friends or strangers, like people who know the game, it's like sometimes you don't even need to tell people what to do. They just do what they need to do and get it done. And or there've been times I'm like, yo, man, I need you to cover this. He's like, I'm already on it. So I'm like, hey, we're thinking alike. So
got it. So there's a meeting of the minds. Their mastermind is in full effect with you guys with the game because you guys are all in to the same.
Exactly.
Got it. Interesting. Mr. Eroles, sir.
Hey, Mac, do you play Call of Duty Mobile, by the way?
No, I do not.
Damn it. Okay, cool. Hey, so mine would be the military, number one. And the reason why the military is if you're not in harmony while you're deployed, which I was twice, you die. So you learn to create chemistry through trainings and different strategies that you work on thousands of times so that when it comes down to that moment, you guys are all in alignment and are able to complete the task as best as you can. And then the second one would be sports. I played a lot of basketball. So even in sports, the goal is to win a championship, win the division, win something. So yeah, we all have our own individual goals. Maybe mine's to go to USC, someone else is to go to UCLA, someone else is just playing. But our end goal is to win it all. So it'd be sports in the military.
So I would say that for me, the best example I can give is I danced for 15 years, tap, jazz, and ballet. And there's a lot of synchronicity. You guys have to all look the same, be on the same exact foot, same arm. I mean, you guys, you dance in large groups, are supposed to look like one unit. And if anyone is off or goes the wrong way, it's blatantly obvious. I think that's been the easiest submission of my own personal interest is the willingness to give to the group so that we can all perform and look beautiful. So then I had, so as we go through this, guys, one of the things I really want more than anything is for you to get ideas. And so as I was going through this on page 75 for me, and we're going to get the translation on what pages so that everyone can be on the same page, but it was the part where he talks about Henry Ford is by far the most powerful man. And as I read that part of the book, I decided that I wanted to study Henry Ford, right? And we all have different objectives, but I decided I wanted to study Henry Ford. I wanted to study Rockefeller, Thomas Edison, and there's a really good documentary called The Men Who Built America. And I had started it, but I never finished. So tonight, actually, after I take a final for something, I'm going to sit down and watch that. And then I wanted to look up who's built the biggest companies in the world, also here in the United States, and what were some of the common or key elements, who were the most powerful people in history. And then I also wrote down meditate for 20 minutes a day after yoga. And the reason I'm sharing this, and I want you guys to share these random moments, because I was sitting here reading and then these ideas just started flowing into my mind, right? They just started hitting me in the head. And it just was one after another, after another, after another. And that's why it's so important that you have your notebook next to you when you're reading, because you're going to, as we go through this book, you're going to get smacked in the face with incredible revelations and ideas. And you don't have to share any of them if they're very personal, you don't want to share with the group. I'm always going to share, because something I say or an idea that I spark, maybe it sparks an idea in your mind, and then we go back and forth, and then who knows what develops, right? It's really the development of the mastermind that we're after. That's not just reading the book. It's us the shared mental cooperation of the book and the ideas that come from it on an individual basis for us that I'm really after. So he kind of goes into talking about Henry Ford. I actually wrote this quote on my Facebook. Ford gathered millions of dollars with as great at ease as a child that fills up a bucket with sand at the beach. And I thought that was incredible, because for some of us, not for all of us, I don't want to speak in a generic term, but sometimes money can be challenging for a lot of people. And so I'm so curious, as we learn these principles, what is it that allowed Ford to do something that so many people struggle with? And it says, what would this do for you? So if you were able to do that same thing, let's just say, right? Like you were able to make a phone call and get millions, if not billions of dollars, right? Just by your words, because people just believed in you and whatever you brought to the table. How would that affect your life? And what would you be able to do? So Mac, I'm back to you.
If I had access to a pool of money by just making phone calls,
Yeah.
What would I do with that sum of money is the question.
Yeah, like what would that allow you? So what would this do for you? Like what, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, you can answer it anyway.
I mean, it's simple. It's like you can invest the money, you can buy real estate, you can hedge.
Yeah, what specific vision would you like to accomplish?
Oh, I probably would take the money and hedge the money.
Okay.
I would hedge it.
So hedging is something that you would do. Mr. Rolas, what would you do if you could make a phone call tonight? You were Ford, you're Henry Ford, you're you, but Henry Ford, right? And you make a phone call and anything that you want can be yours, right? Like, what would you wish for tonight? Like if that was you and you had the ability to do that.
If I could do that, I would actually start the groundwork for the city I want to build. So.
Okay. Miss Ursula?
I had a quick question. I do not have any idea what hedging is.
Mac?
Oh, hedging is a form of investment where you take a pool of money from people, you invest it, and then you just make profit on it. Money makes money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'd have to say I'd invest in real estate and just help my family out.
Well, I would definitely take one of my trips to one of the countries that's really good on eco-friendly building. Seems that Asia has some incredible stuff over there. And then I would buy, I mean, if I had all the money I wanted, I would buy the 100,000 units that I want. And I would start working on the project to develop those buildings. Obviously, I wouldn't buy them all at once, but that would be the project for the next 5 to 10 years. It's just to develop the buildings and really come up with the concept for the app that I have with my apartment buildings, and just work on my humanitarian work through my buildings to helping people that are homeless. So that would be, so the real question is, how do we as a unit become, and you guys, I know Michael and Miss Ursula, you haven't yet gotten to this part of the book yet, but it's about the mastermind between Henry Ford, Firestone, and Edison, and how all of these gentlemen became giants in their industries.
And they came from nothing.
Boom. And they did. They all came from absolutely nothing. It literally says all three men started their business without capital and with little education. So the question is, we already answered the question. Sorry, my screen popped up something random. And so, can you guys still see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and so powerful. I'm just looking at some of my notes. He talks about something that's also really interesting. It says, it is the same with blending the minds. Each mind, through the principle of chemistry, stimulates all the other minds in a group until the mind energy becomes so great that it permeates and connects all the universal energy known as ether, in which in turn it touches every atom of the entire universe. I think that this is a really unique part of the book that he's talking about, the subconscious mind. And I'm just curious, have you guys ever heard of universal consciousness?
Yes.
Michael, I know you have, but Miss Ursula, have you heard of universal consciousness?
I believe I have. I have no idea what it means, but it seems like I've heard the word before.
And Matt?
No. Was that in the reading?
It is. It's on page 79 for you. It's kind of at the bottom. He calls it universal energy, but it's AKA universal consciousness. So it's kind of like it's like when the world, it's like, oh, the best way is kind of like a religious thing, like being at church, and a lot of minds, it's like a huge minds, like all the minds think the same thing. And so like when this happens, it's like political things are affected this way. The stock market actually operates off of universal consciousness. Universal fear, right, can drive the market up or down. So universal consciousness is when multiple minds believe something, whether it's true or not, doesn't really make a difference, because all the minds are kind of coinciding and believing the thing at the same time.
Miss Witherspoon.
Yes, sir.
Another good way of looking at it is in churches when everyone's praying for the same thing, say someone's sick or someone has cancer, when they're all in accord, usually miracles happen for the most part, when they're all in accord praying the same thing.
That is very true. Okay, hold on.
I did have something that I thought we should bring up based on something you said.
Okay, what is it?
Now you and Mac, you guys were talking about how Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, they came from nothing and they became these giants and they met up all the time. I think as we go through our reading, that might be something good to keep in our head. Like, how did they do it? Because we're literally going to learn the principles. But if we're looking at it from a mind frame of, oh, that's how he did it, or that's how he possibly did it, we might get some ideas onto how we can do it for ourselves.
Yeah, looking at their examples of what they did and then apply it to us. Yeah, I agree.
I know that Mac was super excited about the vibrations. Do you kind of want to elaborate on the vibration part, Mac?
The vibrations? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the core of our being or the universe is vibrations. So everything, and they said like different vibrations, you get different colors as well. I think it was in the other reading
right.
last week. And yeah. So I mean, the only thing I want to just get off here is that like the basics is this vibrations, like how fast you're moving, it can determine like some of the things in the universe, color, sound, other things that you can pick up as well. So I just thought that was like very interesting. And also, and like he said in the book, it can also deal with communication through the mind with the vibration, which is his theory throughout the book.
And then do you know when he starts talking about matter and energy, and he talks about they may be transformed, but neither can be created or destroyed. So it's pretty much that every thought that's ever existed, right, is a matter, right? It goes out, has a frequency, has a vibration, and so it's always floating. And so he goes on to explain that he believes that a lot of geniuses learn how to tap into the temple of knowledge, and pretty much they're able to extract information from the universe because they're able to tap into the right frequency. So that not necessarily that they're geniuses, but that because they know how to tap into the pool of all minds, like they have such synchronicity with the universe that they're able to harness that energy and use it for themselves. What do you guys think of that concept?
Well, I agree with the concept. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, the more minds you can connect with, the more information or knowledge you would have, or experiences you would have, which is always a good thing. But yeah, that's all I have. Go ahead.
Well, I agree with it 100%. And I think this is a huge issue for me, is when you read many, many books on success or successful people, whether it be Elon Musk or whoever it is, or Grant Cardone, the main thing they talk about is writing down their goals. And now looking back on it, I understand why, because as you're writing your goals down 2-3 times a day, you're constantly thinking about it. You're constantly putting it out there to the universe, and which allows you to see stuff as you're going through your normal day that you may not have seen because you're constantly thinking about your goals. So I believe that you can put it out there and things pop into your life.
Miss Ursula?
Yep, exactly. I agree with both Mac and Michael. If you speak it into existence, it shall happen.
So then the last thing we're going to talk about is power is organized knowledge expressed through intelligent effort. And he just goes on to explain that really what was one of the huge things that worked for Ford was the organized knowledge of the Ford organization. And pretty much that really only 25% of his actual resources were what helped him be successful. And that if Ford lost it all, that based on the knowledge that he had, he would be able to rebuild everything. It says Ford is the most powerful man economically because he had the keenness and most practical concept of the principle of organized knowledge of any man on earth. And so, I mean, what do we really think allowed Ford to grow to such an incredible level? I mean, they talk about his relationship, they talk about his mastermind, but they also talk about his relationship with his wife, kind of being one of the most powerful catalysts for him as well. And it says he was able to escape the 3 enemies of men, which are ignorance, illiteracy, and poverty. So he had everything against him. It's not like this guy had a silver spoon, as people like to say. I mean, he really came from nothing. It says knowledge generally in the nature is unorganized. It's not power, it's potential power. And so really, you know, as we go through this, I think the thing is that we want to organize our knowledge so that we can use it like a laser, so that we have unlimited power to build the resources that we're looking to build and really create what it is that we're looking to create. So in wrapping this call up, you know, what do you guys, is there anything that you want to add or any takeaways that you think were very powerful? I'm going to start with you, Miss Ursula.
Like I mentioned before, I'm just excited to be going through this journey with everyone. And like you said, just collaborating and getting different ideas and different perspectives from everyone, and how to just work on, you know, meeting our goals and ultimately becoming successful in whatever we endeavor to do.
Mac?
Organized knowledge. I mean, that's the question you're asking me. Like, what does it mean to me? Or
yeah, I mean, what does it mean to you? And are there any, like, you know, key takeaways or anything that you want to share with the group in closing out the night?
I think it has to do with the being efficient. Like, you could be a smart person, but you're not organized. You don't have your thoughts organized. You don't have your notes organized. You're not going to be that efficient, no matter how smart you are. That's what I get when I first read that line. But I know I went further a little bit, and I know they go more in depth about this later on. So I didn't read through that yet, but when they go on, maybe it might turn my views on this. But yeah, pretty much like